My next guest is going to be fighting back in Canada, UFC 297 in Toronto, January 20th. It's Gillian Robertson back here on the program. Gillian, how are you?
I'm doing great. I just can't get used to hearing that fighting back in Canada. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Were you hoping to get on this card? Like, was this something you asked the UFC about? Like, tell me how this all came together with you getting this matchup against Viana.
I actually had no idea. I just signed a contract, had a name, Polyanna Viana, and a date, January 20th. And the location said to be decided. So when I signed the contract, I had no idea. There wasn't like rumors necessarily that it was going to be in Toronto. And then like slowly it started coming to fruition that it maybe Canada, maybe Toronto. Then officially announced, and I had tears in my eyes when it was finally announced.
Cool. Okay, awesome. Yeah, because I know you're from Niagara Falls originally, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, and I trying to refresh my memory as well. Do you still have family in Canada right now, or have most of them gone over to the States?
No, all my family's in Canada still. It's like
cool.
Me and my parents are the only ones down in Florida. Everybody else is up in Canada.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good. So what's been the response from the family? Because, I know tickets are pricey, but I'm sure some are going to be coming out to see a fight.
Oh, yeah, everybody's trying to get tickets. Everybody's hitting me up trying to go. I'm like, it's definitely... I'm just excited to have the crowd support there. I'm like, last time I fought in Canada, it was my first TKO ever. I take that as like a good omen that this might be my second. And I feel like the Canadian crowd makes a difference. I've never had a feeling like I have had post-win in Edmonton, so I can only imagine what it's going to be like in Toronto.
When was the last time you've been to Toronto? Like, how long has it been? I know, again, Niagara Falls is a couple hours away, but still somewhat close to Toronto.
Honestly, for me, since I've been with the UFC, all my traveling has been fight related.
Right.
I'm like, I haven't went on vacation. I haven't done anything. So I really haven't been back to that area in a long time.
Cool.
Just like I said, everywhere, anytime I've traveled within the last 7 years, it's been either for a fight or a competition or something like that. So this will be my first time back in a while.
Good stuff. That's great. We haven't seen you in a bit, at least as far as fighting goes, maybe not jiu-jitsu, but why haven't we seen you in the cage for so long?
I don't think it's been too long for me. I'm like, I fought twice this year. Fought Tabitha Ritchie a couple months ago. Honestly, as a strawweight, I need that's where I like kind of effed up my last fight. I took it too quick, turned around too quick, and I could do that as a flyweight and be okay. And it was fine for those camps. But as a strawweight, it's like, I really fucked myself trying to make, like, I had 4 days in between fight contracts last time, between my Piera camp and my Tabitha Ritchie camp, where 4 days, no contract, back into an 8-week camp. I was burnt out every single day of that 8-week camp, and like literally on the Aerodyne bike doing cardio, crying every single day, just like, no, I can do it. I can do it. And obviously it showed in the fight that I couldn't do it. And my body was just begging me to stop. So I'm like, I feel like that was my biggest learning experience from that last fight is I need time if I'm going to make this cut to 115. Like my body just can't do quick turnarounds.
What is the process like? Like, have you started, like the second you got this fight booked, are you now starting to diet? Like, how does that all work? Because obviously you've been a mainstay more at 125.
Oh yeah. Ever since the day I get the contract, I start eating healthy, on a fairly strict diet. And then we do cardio 4 times a week after, like anytime I do a hard training session, I do 20 minutes to 30 minutes of cardio right after it. And starting to incorporate sauna sessions now just to get me heat acclimated. So just constantly just getting that weight down little by little, hoping I can usually walk around like 128 until we're probably 2 weeks out, and then we start cutting it down. But typically speaking, like out of camp, I'm probably walking closer to 140. So even for me to get down to like 130, 128, it's a lot of diet, a lot of cardio.
Do you have anyone monitoring your weight cut, or are you just doing it on your own, like as far as like meal prep and all that stuff? Like, how does that work for 120 or 115, I should say?
Meal prep I do myself, but I do have the help of the UFC PI that
Cool.
they send me all my, like what you should be eating, how many calories I should be getting a day. So they're in charge of that 100%, where it's like my weight comes off easy when I do that. But if we look back to my Tabitha camp, I'm like, like I said, quick turnarounds and things like that, I'm like, my weight wasn't coming off easy there. So I feel like 115 is ideal for me, just with the time in between.
Yeah, no, that certainly makes sense. Now let's talk about Polyanna as an opponent. Stylistically, how are you looking at this one?
I feel like it's an ideal matchup for me. She's got a lot of precision in her hand. She throws a lot and she's precise. Obviously, saw she knocked out Jinya Frey. She's comfortable to stay on her back on the ground, which I think kind of plays into my world fairly well, where I can just sit on top, ground and pound, and look for my submissions.
Excellent. You're still at the Goat Shed, right? Where were you training for this camp?
Yeah, I'm training with at the Goat Shed and still under Dean Thomas always.
Okay, that's good. So training partners, who are you mainly getting to work with?
My main training partner, her name's Gloria DaCosta. She's an amateur, and she's legit the most reliable drilling partner I've ever had, and I'm just so thankful for her. She's everything to me, and I feel like her and Dean are going to be the reason that I'm going to be a world champion. They're there every single day making sure that I'm getting my rounds in.
And you train with some of the men as well, don't you?
Oh yeah, most of my live rounds are with the men. So
okay.
I drill with Gloria. We get all our like technical work in, and then it's like ideally I don't want to be going live with somebody that I'm drilling with because they know everything that I'm gonna do.
Right.
So I get a lot of my live rounds with the boys, and all the boys at Goat Shed. We have a good group of 125ers who are all good hard rounds for me and give me a good push.
Good. That's great. And then we were talking a bit about the weight cut there. How do you navigate through the holidays? Because obviously there's going to be a lot of good food around. Like, do you just don't eat, or do you get to have a little bit? Like, how does that work?
I've kind of just shut down for the holidays. I already skipped Thanksgiving. I told my parents I'm not coming home for Christmas. I'm just to make it. I'm focused on January 20th right now, and that's all that matters to me. I'm like, Christmas will come again next year. Thanksgiving will come again next year. This date won't, and the winner or the loss is going to stay on my record forever, and that's what really matters.
Well said. Is Dean Thomas going to be making the trip with you? Who will be in your corner for this fight?
Dean Thomas, the head coach of Goat Shed, Austin Zaidi, and then one of the 125-pound boys, Adrian Garcia, will be in my corner to help me warm up.
How's this fight playing out on January 20th? How do you see it going down?
I said it earlier, Canada's my good luck charm, and I'm hoping for my second TKO.
Good stuff. I like it. Didn't even hesitate there. We got the big UFC 296 card coming up. I know you've been doing a lot of great work over there on Fight Banana. Shout out Dave Van Auken, my good buddy over there. But main event, I got to get your thoughts on this Colby Covington, Leon Edwards fight. You're an analyst now. I think we can put you in that category. How do you see that fight playing out on Saturday?
I think Colby's wrestling and his pace is just going to be too much for Leon. I think that he's just going to keep on pushing the pressure, and I think that I think Colby may even be able to find a finish in this.
Okay, I like it. Bold pick. And then obviously on this card, we have the Tony Ferguson and Paddy Pimblett fight. Just your thoughts on that. It's kind of a weird matchup, right? Tony on a big losing streak, and Paddy, I think most people felt like he didn't win his last fight, right?
I feel like I'm sitting here with that fight just like
yeah.
hands over my eyes. I don't want to watch it. I think Paddy wins. I don't want to see Tony lose again. I don't think anyone in the MMA world wants to see Tony lose again, but yeah, I think Paddy comes away with it.
We were supposed to also have Vicente Luque and Ian Garry. That fight is off now. Gary getting sick. Just as like an outsider, what do you make of all this Ian Garry stuff? He's getting a lot of backlash because he kind of went after a few fighters, but now people are going into his personal life. Like, have you been paying attention to this? If so, what are your thoughts on it?
I think if you're gonna talk shit, you gotta take it too. So
yeah.
I'm like I know he made the shirts with Jeff Neal's like mugshot on it, like attacking him like that, and then you can't take it back. Like, if you're gonna talk shit, you gotta be able to deal with it.
Okay, well said, well said. And then obviously the main event of your card is Sean Strickland and Drakus. Do you have a prediction on that one? Because that's a really exciting fight headlining your card.
They're both two very awkward styles. I feel like. I don't know. I think Drakus might be able to pull it off, but again, like Strickland surprised me against Adesanya. Strickland's got a unique style of defense that he's able to pull things off, and I guess Drakus has a unique style of offense too. That I don't know. It's a very interesting matchup to me.
Who do you give the edge to, though? I think Strickland's the favorite, but do you think that's correct, or do you think Drakus, with his performance over Whitaker, should be the betting favorite here?
I'm going to give Drakus a little bit of an edge, but still not. I feel like that one's kind of a toss-up.
You mentioned signing on for this fight. What is your contract status? You have a couple more fights left, or what's the latest with your UFC contract?
I'm actually not 100% sure on that.
Okay, gotcha.
Check in on that.
For sure. How long have you been self-managing yourself? I was trying to remember this too, because I remember it was like a couple fights ago. I was like, oh yeah, you're just doing it on your own. How has that been, first off? And is it like, I guess you just talked to the UFC directly?
Yeah, I just talked to the UFC directly, get my fights. I feel like it's always been easy to get fights because I'm easy to work with. I'm down to take fights. I'm down to take fights whenever. So they've always been willing to give me fights whenever I'm ready to go.
Do you have any goals for next year? We're coming up to that end of the year where people kind of make like resolutions and stuff. Is there anything you want to do for next year, whether it's, keeping active, doing jiu-jitsu competitions, maybe doing more commentary stuff? Like, what do you have sort of just off the top of your head that you're looking forward to for next year?
Definitely more commentary. I'd love to get into that more. My main goal, and it's been a goal for a while, I'm like, since I've been in the UFC, I've never gotten 3 wins in a row. So that's our main goal is I'm like, win January 20th, maybe get definitely 1 more, maybe 2 more by the end of the year. And I just want to be able to see 3 wins in a row in the UFC.
Any part of you kind of hoping you go out there, get a quick win, and then you can go fight on the Miami card? Because that's coming up at UFC 299. That'd be close to home, right?
No, I do not hope to get on it because that's where I messed up my last fight.
Oh, okay.
I got too excited about the Jacksonville card, being able to fight in Florida, being able to fight the girl that I called out, a top 15er, and I just jumped the gun and my body wasn't ready for it and I couldn't make the cut. And I'm like, I'm not putting myself through that again. And I'm just making smarter choices in my fight career.
Okay, I can respect that. What about UFC 300? Like, everyone wants to get on that card. Is that something you care about, or are you just like, hey, I just want to keep active, doesn't matter what card it is?
I guess it doesn't matter what card necessarily. I just, whatever's in the right time for me. Like, I want to make sure that I get my body back to recovered and then ready to go into another weight cut before I just keep on pushing myself. So I just want to make sure that I'm ready to go into another fight camp before I'm just like, let's turn around, let's do this, let's get back in.
What are your thoughts on USADA leaving the UFC? I know there's still going to be a governing body, I guess, or like an organization that's still going to be testing you. But what was your reaction to hearing that? And what was your overall experience with USADA?
I've always had a good experience with USADA. I feel like, I guess they've never really tested me too much. I've gotten like once a camp. I know fighters get it like multiple times a camp or multiple days in a row where I guess, I don't know, my Instagram pictures aren't shown enough. I'm not looking too muscly. So, yeah, they've only come to me like once a camp every time. Always good at timing. So I've never had an issue with USADA. And I'm sure whoever the UFC brings in is going to do a wonderful job as well.
Your reaction to PFL buying Bellator, that was pretty big news.
Yeah, I think they would do best if they just brought it all together. I feel like they're still trying to keep it a little bit separate, like PFL and Bellator. I think it's just got to be all PFL, and that'd be awesome to see.
Do you think they need to add those other divisions, though? I think that's one of the big criticisms is like PFL doesn't have like a middleweight division or, like, and I think, like you said, combining the two would probably do that. Do you think that's sort of the ideal strategy there? Because then you get fighters like from all over that have more opportunities, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely adding more divisions. Then also, I don't like how they're doing it like PFL Europe and PFL America. I'm like, just make it all just one
PFL. Yeah, I completely agree with that. That's good. My last question, most important one, are you going to be partaking in any, I know you smoke, obviously. Are you going to be looking for some Ontario bud when you're out there after the fight? Obviously, don't want to get in any trouble before the fight.
100%. Obviously, Canada, it's 100% legal. I'm going to be looking for the closest dispensary. Probably already going to have in my room post-fight, just sitting there waiting for me ready to go.
That's good. Have you already scoped out the dispensaries or no?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay, fair enough. Have you had bud from Ontario before or no?
Not Ontario, from Edmonton whenever I fought there.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. I'll be honest, it's a little bit better out west than out east, but I'm sure you'll get some good stuff there. And actually, one more thing I wanted to ask you. Do you plan on wearing any Toronto Maple Leaf stuff out to the fights? Because I think that would win the crowd over. They love the Leafs out there in Toronto.
I didn't even think about that. I was definitely going to be carrying a flag. I'm like, we haven't been able to carry flags for a while within the UFC.
That's right. Yeah. Because of the whole flag ban thing. Yeah.
But to be able to fight in Canada and carry the flag, I thought that was going to be awesome. But maybe rep the Leafs too. Yeah,
get like a Leafs t-shirt or something. I bet you'll win people over. That's just my suggestion anyways, because everyone loves the Leafs there. And we love watching you fight, Gillian. Really appreciate the time. UFC 297, January 20th. If there's anyone you want to thank before we get out of here, any sponsors, any social media you want to mention, I'll give you the last word.
Just always thank my main training partner, Gloria, Dean Thomas, and Goat Shed for taking care of me always. And just follow me at Savage_UFC on Instagram and Twitter.